Hello, this is Lily Gerwin. I am doing activity 4.2, Interconnecting Identities for class DEC 320. For this activity, we will be talking about interconnecting identities, culture diversification, if I said that correctly, and positive social changes. For the first article that I chose the article that was called Connecting Individual and Societal Change. This article was basically about having multiple examples dealing with change instead of implementing the changes. So they tried to make these changes, but it didn't fully work out, or they did not fully get completed. The first point that I had here is the reality that social change work is difficult and often traumatizing. The one example I was talking about for that one was the women's movement. Their examples for that one was most of the women had their well-being brought down, where they started getting depression, starting horrible eating habits, and just not taking care of themselves. I noticed that with the other examples they had in that article as well, and I brought some quotes over too from the article that is in the next slide. Here are some of the quotes that I pulled from the first article. Changemakers find solutions and make progress. Many are burnt out and experience a host of personal challenges such as depression, divorce, and the early onset of chronic disease. Behind the scenes, many agents of change at all organizational levels and regional level over the world are struggling. At the same time, we are far from meeting the social and environmental challenge of our day. We need to unlock more collaboration and more invitation. This is telling me more about like the previous slide I said about like the depression with the women's movement. A lot of people are getting burnt out of these trying to make changes, and it's creating bad habits and horrible well-being for people. The second quote said, inspired by these initial interviews, we begin looking at the issue globally, exploring support for the internet well-being and individual change makers, and searching the connection between internet well-being and social change. The article is also trying to provide support for those people that did get a effect from the changes that were trying to be made. Trying to connect with inner well-being and social change, they're trying to connect and get them to realize that the changes are good and that they will give support to you if needed. The second article I chose was 5 ways to have better communications with difference. I thought this would be a good connection with the other one to start attacking those ways to have better communications, better ways to approach situations, to be able to come across and have a conversation in a positive way than having to go down a negative way and start getting depression, start having horrible eating habits or what have you. I figured this would be a good article to start attacking those before it gets too bad. And I started with 2 quotes from the article that I thought would stick out great. We often lack the tools to help us gracefully navigate conversations like these, and so we avoid having them. I think that's honestly true, because when people start seeing differences, they kind of get scared and just want to just be a turtle and just hide in their shell. Most of the people don't want to admit those differences or like try to connect with those differences. That's one thing that people should start doing, is trying to connect with each other and trying to like make those connections with each other. Another one is these conversations invite students to reflect on who they are, what society expects them, and how their identity informs their purpose. Here are 5 guiding perspectives I've learned from this work to make these difficult conversations a little bit easier. I read these steps and I thought they were great for this article. And it tells you how to connect and get those relations with each other. I believe the next slide has the steps, or a few steps, to make those conversations better. One is starting to listen to others. Just start the conversation and start trying to pull out things to get them to talk to each other and connect. But the thing is, you don't want to take things too personally. If you take them too personally and get offended by something, you'll start getting a little shy again and just go back in your shell and not want to come back out. That's one of the things I've realized most people do not want to start conversations, is because they already had a bad experience and they don't want to try again. The last point, again, connect with one another. When you have a connection, it's just a more easier flow, and starting to listen to each other is a little bit better flow, and you start getting to see these norms, or you starting to actually get to know these people. When you start to see the differences, it's okay to see the differences, and you'll start realizing, hey, this is okay. They might be able to be one of my best friends. The main way that I saw the article differences was, one was just trying to see how they dealt with the differences, and instead of trying to make those differences, it seemed like the first article was just dealing with making the change instead of actually implementing and making those changes. Like I said in a past slide, it's making the changes that helps, in making those connections, to make those changes, to implement them. That is what needs to happen, instead of just dealing with what happens. These articles helped me realize to not just deal with the changes around me, to actually start implementing the changes in my life. So it helped me get comfortable talking about identities and talking about differences in others. It told me the right way to attack them or approach those conversations, instead of making me feel shy and want to go in my shell. The second conversation, or the second article, really helped me with that, to make me realize that it's okay, and gave me the proper steps to not feel uncomfortable and make me feel shy. I also realized from the 2 articles is that hard conversation is what makes changes. When you connect with differences, you start getting those social norms, and I believe that's how you get those changes to actually be implemented. Then lastly, these are the references I had for the 2 articles that I had. The first one is Connecting Individual and Societal Change, as well as the second one, 5 Ways to Have Better Communications Across Differences. Thank you. Bye.